Big things are happening at CheckAlt. With the recent promotion of Patrick Law to our president, we've received lots of questions. So we thought, what better way to find out those answers than to sit down with Patrick and talk about his vision and what's next for CheckAlt. So, Patrick, you've been Chief Operating Officer since June of 2023, now stepping in to be President and COO. So, what's new? What does this shift mean for you and for CheckAlt?
What it means for me is a deeper reach into partnerships that exist at the top of the house of CheckAlt. The investor class, M&A opportunities that float across. As COO, I would look at these things from a due diligence, how do we snap it in perspective, like tactical. The beauty of entrepreneurial environments like CheckAlt is you wear multiple hats. So sometimes you're tactics, sometimes you're strategy, sometimes you have to be both, and sometimes you're winging it. And I don't mean that for people to like, oh, they're winging it. We're not winging it. What I mean by that is the decision-making tree here is very short. It is not a 150-year-old tree and 400 pages of process and bureaucracy. The being loose of the shackles of bureaucracy allows us to make decisions faster. So having more reach into some of the strategic decision making that occurs at CheckAlt versus the tactics, now I'll bridge both.
Excellent. And that really lines up well with the whole growth acceleration and really looking to expand our market and really work more closely with our customers and partners.
Yeah, if you look at the history of CheckAlt, the entrepreneurial part of Shy's ownership style and the acquisition of businesses, the business has grown through acquisition, but the organic side, having a stable employee base, a highly engaged employee base, up-tempo discipline, and that doesn't mean like locking people to their desks. It means once you make a decision on something, stick to it.
Sure.
I mean, there's a trade-off. So that level of discipline that I've brought here in the last 18 months has really set in. It's set in. We are buttoned up. We are lockstep together across the organization on delivering on the promises we make. And I don't mean we're out in the market saying, oh, I promise we're going to make the sky red today. I mean, if we say we're going to do something on X day and that something will do X thing, we meet that day or we tell the client base or the prospects why. We haven't missed much the last 18 months. And if the functionality is promised, it'll work. Like, not that past regimes here didn't try to do that. It just wasn't shared as transparently as it should have been to either own outcomes, good or bad or ugly. I mean, if you own the outcome, clients, prospects actually appreciate the honesty. Like, they're struggling too. No one organization gets it right all the time, but just be transparent. So that head down approach to doing the basics really well, like championships are won with basic blocking and tackling. Hook and ladders, for those of you who know football out there, isn't how you win football games. They're fun and they make highlight reels, but they're not really like that effective. They're fun, but not effective. Basic blocking and tackling wins championships. So we've gotten really good at that here. And the part of the hockey stick where you can start to scale because the environment is fortified and structurally sound enough to take the weight of it and the pivot of that, we're there. So part of my transition here is to get out in the field more. So I'm not going to leave my CIO alone. I'm not going to leave my head of risk and compliance alone. I'm not all the parts of the company that really make it go, that are critical to the safety of customers, the promise to prospects. That's why I'm keeping the COO part. Like the tactics, I'm good at it. Fine, I said it out loud. I enjoy it, but pivoting to the external side of the game more. I was spending probably 30% of my time there. Now it needs to be 60, 70% to get the word out into the market that we're not just open for business, we're open for growth.
Yeah. And so what I'm hearing is, and what I'm feeling just having been here is you've laid that foundation. That foundation is good and solid. Now it's time to really take it out there and do more.
Yeah, I mean, look, the place was always good, always.
Hmm.
There's good products and services here. They just weren't, the thread wasn't pulled through them. And, my background is integrating platforms, companies of various size. I've been at a lot of cool tables over the last several decades of my career. Some as like a junior guy who didn't even know what the acronyms meant, to somebody who was making some pretty heady decisions and some promises to investors, to acquisition people, to whatever, that we can deliver on something. Bringing all those tools and experiences here to tie the platforms together, work on the migration loads to the AWS cloud-based platform we enjoy here, filling a lot of gaps that customers have wanted and actually delivering on them is important. Like, the last 18 months, we've worked on 400 items.
Wow.
A lot of organizations that would take years to do, we did it in 18 months. And the client impact has been slight. There hasn't been a lot of it. Now, I don't like any client impact. And for those of you listening and you're like, well, I had an impact. Okay, I got it. Like, there's going to be impact when you do migrations and conversions and system uplifts and facelifts and all the fun stuff we've been doing here. But for the most part, the people we have here have done a really great job of being hyper aware of the client and the associate experience, and making these changes as amicable as possible. And, now we're ready to launch. So I'm looking forward to getting out in the world and working on strategic partnerships. And, one of our investors likes to say we've done a lot of fishing license acquisition. And
Oh,
that person, if he's listening, will know who it is that says that. All we have the license to fish. Now we have to fish. Like,
time to
so
fit.
I'm going to get after the fishing.
Excellent. So let's stay there for a moment. What can you share? What are you looking into that you feel comfortable sharing that we are looking ahead and what the future holds?
Sure. There are a lot of fintech partners that we already have relationships with. Like my boss, our founder, Shai, is like the king of networking. I mean, he literally knows everybody. Um, and to be able to work with a person like that that can bring in the work to do, and to be the person that can take the work and actually deliver it. Because not just words. Like, you can't just say you're going to do something. We actually have to do it. So we
Right.
have many ponds that we've signed, and they have relationships behind them that can benefit from our solution set. The treasury management tools, our catch product that keeps, or prevents paper from occurring after bill pay, our ATM business. There's our RDC components, like all the things that we bring to bear in the market are needed, and they're required for a lot of businesses to function. So I'm going to focus on those ponds and help our sales teams and RM teams fish more. They've done a great job brute forcing it, but now we're going to get a little more strategic and heads down and stay in our lane. Like, that's been a message I've been saying here. Like, because you're at an entrepreneurial environment, you get pulled into a lot of things. Like, Teresa, you do a lot of different things than just marketing. Like, who would have thought you'd be like a podcast host, or, whatever we're calling this, but here you are doing it. If you're going to get serious about not chasing butterflies, we've created a top 25 list of initiatives. We've created a top 25 target list. We've created a place to stare at and not just let everything that comes flying over the transom distract us. Back to the basic blocking and tackling piece. So pick a
Mhm.
pond, fish it. Pick a spot in that pond and fish it. Don't look across and say, oh, that pond looks better. Let's go there before you finish fishing at the one you're in. Now, I'm making it sound very black and white. There's a lot of gray in there. And
Sure.
sometimes I may have to have one leg in one pond and a leg in the other, just like you do, and the sales teams and RMs and ops teams. And we're all doing that. There's just never enough resource and time in the world, but you got to force the head down and stay in your lane. Because if you stay in your lane, that gives you a little bit of time back. So we want to get closer to our partnerships. We want to get closer to our clients and do a better job of sharing how we can make them money and save them money. We can do two things. We can make them more efficient, and we can share back with them on several of our products
Hmm.
usage. And that's a positive thing. It's hard to find today, like going both ways. We just don't have our hand out. We want a hand back. We want a hand up, and we can do that. So I'm excited about getting into that part of it.
Excellent. All right. We only had a few short minutes, so thank you, Patrick. But I do want to ask you, what else? Is there anything that you would like to share in closing that it's really exciting and looking forward, and what we can all expect seeing you step into this new role?
Yeah, I mean, I'll talk about Shy for just a second.
Sure.
Freeing him from a lot of the load of being the Lone Ranger as it relates to getting a deal across the finish line and boarding it, and freeing him up to dot connect. Like I've worked for some great people in my career. Some of them are still my mentors. They're off running companies themselves now, and I still call them for advice and help. If I get stuck on something, because I don't know it all. Like I have great instincts, but you don't know what you don't know. So it's good to have a network of people that you can rely on to help give you a different view of things. But the more I take on there, freeing Shy up to see what's happening in the market. And some people have said his ideas are so out there. I'm like, well, they're out there because the rest of the world hasn't caught up to what he's thinking.
Right.
Like there are things that we can be doing that time and treasure can afford you, but also just a little bit of brain space. So if I give him more brain space to operate at that level in the atmosphere where ideation is the principal focus, and if I can get the company to a place tactically and strategically to meet him where he's at with the way his brain works with treasury solutions, software solutions, mergers, acquisitions, prospect candidates. He thinks about things inside another organization that they may not have time to. He's actually an excellent consultant. Now he would never do that because he doesn't want to do that kind of work. But the way his brain works, he just sees like a fourth or fifth dimension of a chessboard that a lot of us can only get to tier 3 because we're so busy running the race. So
Right.
giving him that space to think differently, it's going to help our customers. It's going to help prospects. It's going to help other investors out there in the world. Like he is a treasure trove of knowledge. So if I can do that for the company while he's doing that for the industry at large, other partners of his where he operates, it's going to be good for CheckAlt. It's going to be good for him, and it's going to be good for people he runs with. So I'm excited about that part.
You took the words out of my mouth. Exciting times ahead. Well,
Yeah,
thank you very much, Patrick. And again, congratulations.
thank
And
you.
thank everyone for joining us today. If you'd like to learn more, do visit us at www.checkout.com/news. You can also check us out at /insights to gain more information and best practices around the payments management space. And Patrick, thank you once again.
Thank you, Teresa. You're a star,
Awesome.
lady. Bye bye.
Awesome. Thank you. Have a great day, everyone. Bye bye.